and welcome to the Black Scientists Cooperative podcast, a group of sister scientists with a commitment and a mission of educating our community on the science behind healthcare. My name is Dr. Myla Patterson Smith, and I'd like to take this time and this moment to introduce this wonderful group of lovely scientists. We are truly a group of friends, a group of sisters. We've grown up together in science at Meharry Medical College, where we initially met in August of 2000. Each of us have our own different specialties. We've been at each other's most monumental life events and milestones, and we truly have a genuine love for one another. And so what I'd like for us to do today is have each of us introduce ourselves to you. And we're going to talk about who we are as a person. We're going to talk about how we came to be as scientists. And then we're going to talk about the why behind why we all decided to co-found the cooperative. So I'll start with myself. Again, my name is Myla. And I am a Chicago native, born and raised on the south side of Chicago. I went to undergrad at Dillard University, representing the students that, really didn't know what they wanted to do. But, with the opportunity of going to an HBCU and receiving some really great mentorship from my department head, I had the privilege of, being accepted and given the opportunity to go to Meharry Medical College. It's really interesting, and that I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to major in biology. I knew I wanted to be in healthcare, but I wasn't sure what my next steps were going to be. And so my department head reached out to me and said, "Hey, have you ever thought about being a scientist and getting your PhD?" And I said to him, "No." Because prior to coming to Dillard, I had not had previous exposure to a Black scientist, had never seen one. And so Dr. Wilson was his name, and he recommended that I take the GRE and apply to Meharry Medical College, and he made a phone call, and the rest is history. And that is the place where I met these three beautiful sisters that I have right now. And so how I came to be, in my current position, I am a product manager for a Fortune 500 company. And so what I do on a daily basis is I manage diagnostic testing portfolios for the US as well as Canada. And how I came to be is after I graduated and got my PhD, I made the decision to go to the business side of science and biotechnology. And I worked as a field scientist, I worked in sales, and recently am working in marketing. And so I'm really here to bring a perspective of how science works from a commercial standpoint to help bring it together full circle. So why did I want to be a part of the Black Scientists Cooperative? Well, I was sitting at home one night watching the CNN town hall. And, I noticed that there were a number of different perspectives represented, but all physician and clinician perspectives. And I thought to myself, this is really good. From the application standpoint, applications and practitioner standpoint, but I wonder what the perspective is from the Black scientists and minority scientists around COVID-19 and around the vaccine. What's the science behind the testing? What's the science behind the different vaccines? Because there are two different technologies that are currently in market with regards to the vaccine. And what does the scientific community, specifically the Black scientific community, think about all these things? And so I thought to myself, I know some scientists, I know some Black scientists, and we need to come together and give our perspective to our community on what we think about the vaccines and COVID-19 in general, and make data simple, make the education simple so that our community is really in a position to make informed decisions about their health care. And so, with that said, I'd like to take the time and pass the mic to my friend, Dr. Chante Williams.
Hello, everybody. Hello. My name is Chante Williams, and I am from Graysville, Alabama, a little city outside of Birmingham, Alabama, and Graysville. Hello to all of my family that's still there. And I'm one of the co founders of Black Scientists Cooperative. I've always been intrigued with why things are the way that they are, especially when it came to science. And so I think that is one of the main reasons why I became a scientist. When I'm frequently asked what type of scientist I am, I kind of give a little bit of background of where I started and where I am now. I went to undergrad at Tennessee State University, where I majored in chemistry, and I went to graduate school at Meharry Medical College, where I received my PhD in biomedical science, and my focus was in microbiology and infectious disease. And from there, I went into industry, as Milo mentioned earlier, and I became, and what I do right now is I work in an area that focuses on biomarker discovery and development for different diagnostic tests and for clinical trial assays. So, why am I here and what is so important for me to be able to come together with my sisters of over 20 years and talk about, not only our families and our our inspirations is that we talk about what we want to do and give back to our community. And one of those things is to apply knowledge to them, to share some of the knowledge that we've learned over the years and also during our experience right now. So, as one of the co-founders of BSC, my goal is to help as many people of color as possible to better understand the how and the why, because we all know that knowledge is power. And for me, it makes me so excited to be a part of a mission whose focus is to empower our community. So, with that being said, I am excited and looking forward to having these topics with the scientific community, with the Black scientific community. And with no further ado, I'd like to pass the mic to Dr. Elisa Tillman, also known as Lily Girl Girl.
Thank you, Chante. So, as Chante said, my name is Elisa Tillman, and I too am from a small town in the middle of Georgia. And it's so small that I'm surrounded by about 5 different places, so I claim all of them. So, the one that I most often claim is probably Perry, Georgia, because that's where I went to high school. And I went to undergrad at Payne College in Augusta. And it was at Payne where I really started to dig into my love for biology, which I'd always had. And because of some of the requirements to complete the degree at Payne, I was actually introduced to research. And so I had to complete a research project. But honestly, when I got there, my intentions were to go to medical school. So for all 4 of those years, I prepared to go to medical school. And then in my senior year, it just kind of hit me that I don't think medical school is for me. It was just a decision that I just made because there were some things that I realized about the medical field that I didn't want to or that I couldn't participate in. And a lot of that had to do with my mental health. And so, because being a physician is mentally taxing, and that's a side of being a physician that is not often talked about. And for many of those, aspiring MDs, that's a thing that you really have to be honest with yourself about. Are you able to detach yourself from your patients? I couldn't. Are you able to leave your work and the doctor's office? I knew that I couldn't. But here I am, my senior year, And I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do? I've been preparing to go to medical school for the last 4 years. And very similarly to Mila, I had a very good mentor. Thank you, Miss Linda James, for in showing me another way and helping me to really begin my path and my journey to Meharry, again, where we all met. And so getting to Meharry, I loved research and it was really becoming my thing. But then I realized that I really didn't like being on the bench. And so I'm like, okay, now what? And somewhere in those years that we were at Meharry, I realized that I had a love for teaching and science education. And so today that is where I landed. So I took the route to professorship and undergraduate teaching and mentorship. And I really model myself after my own mentors in that sense of trying to encourage my students to explore options and really think about what they are capable of and really be honest about that, because those decisions are very important. So, so in that sense, science and medical education really is the bulk of my work these days. And that really leads me to why I'm here as a part of BSC, or Black Scientists Cooperative. As an educator, it's sort of my job to make things simple, right? And so I really believe in our motto when we say making data simple. I believe that we all should have easy access to up-to-date information that's clear and understandable so that we can make informed health decisions. And with all of these medical terminology, like Mila mentioned before, and all of the conflicting reports that we are bombarded with on a daily basis, it's important to have a source that is reliable and that you can come to for easy to understand information. So we are here to serve as a collection of reliable resources for you so that you are better equipped to make health decisions, not only for yourself, but also for the ones you love. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Charlitha V. Irvin Joseph.
Hi there. Thank you, Alethea. I am Charlitha, and I have a PhD in biomedical science with a focus on cancer biology and molecular genetics. Currently, I am the Director of Clinical Operations for a safety net hospital in Houston, Texas, in the world's largest medical center. How did I get here? So from the time I was 5, I always wanted to be an MD. And I was always on that path, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be and where I wanted to go. I even had schools mapped out and all of that. Fast forward, I went to undergrad and graduated from Alabama State University. Go Hornets. And so in my junior year, I took a class called Biotechniques. And in that class, at the end of the lab journal, in the notebook, there was a section called Fantastical Future Applications. And you could write anything that you could dream of on how to apply the technology that you used that week to solve any question that you had. And as a person, I am the question asker. So in this group, I'm the person who is the rational, reasonable one that's like, well, I'm very straight lined, and they will tell you that as well. And so I always ask the hard questions and have done so from a very young age. And so what that allowed me to do is I took a step back and I thought to myself, as an MD, do I want the answers given to me? and someone telling me how to, what to prescribe and how to figure out, based on the parameters of a patient, what a scientist has actually already tested and discovered? Or do I want to be the person behind the bench that says, let me test, this version with this combination? And for me, knowing that I was the question asker and that I was the one who wanted to discover new ways to apply those technologies, I decided that a PhD in being a scientist was more my speed and would lend itself to how my thought processes were working. So, when you get into, or when I get into, why am I here and why am I doing what I do? So I was the gung-ho bench scientist in this group. I was the person that you could find in the lab at 6 a.m., at 6 p.m., in all times in between, on weekends, overnights. I literally had a mattress, a blow-up mattress in my laboratory. That was me. When I came to Texas, I worked for an institution that was also in the medical center, and did some molecular virology and microbiology with focuses. And, I found for me that cranking out data was not what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And being, a minority or a person from an underserved community, I found that there were health disparities in my own community that I felt like were injustices. And so my why is that I believe people of color deserve better medicine. I believe that it's my calling to serve underserved populations and advocate for them where they can't advocate for themselves. And I feel like the way in which my career path lends to that is that, by being, the director of clinical operations at a safety net hospital, our entire mission is to serve the underserved. To take in and figure out treatments for those individuals that get turned away at other institutions, and figure out a way to do that and give them equitable, if not better, access to care. And when I was approached, by Mila with this fantastical future application of my science, I was, it's like, absolutely, let's do it. And that's how I became a part of and a founding member of the Black Scientists Cooperative.
Well, there you have it, everyone. This is us. This is who we are. This is the Black Scientists Cooperative. We are from the community. We are of the community. We are educated and raised by the HBCU community. And we are here to serve you. We are here to be a resource for you. And so in closing out this introductory video, we want to invite you to join our first episode, our first podcast episode on January 17th, where we will be discussing COVID-19, the vaccine options, and access to care. So I hope you'll join us on January 17th. Have a good night. Goodbye. And thanks.
Bye.